Ex-prisoners, what's the worst thing you saw in jail? The most dangerous person in our cell block wasn't some tattooed lifer or gang enforcer. It was Dr. Petunia Quibble, the prison psychiatrist who visited twice a week. Everyone called Clarence preacher because he'd found God after his second conviction. Real redemption story. Taught himself to read in solitary. Started a Bible study group. Even got 3 guys to kick their addictions cold turkey. But Clarence carried this weight. His daughter Mildred had been in a car accident right before his arrest. Traumatic brain injury. Couldn't recognize faces anymore. The kid was only 8. His wife Geraldine brought Mildred to visit every month. And you could see Clarence dying a little each time Mildred looked at him like a stranger. Dr. Quibble knew all this from Clarence's file. She'd sit across from him during their sessions, taking notes, asking gentle questions about his progress and emotional stability. Clarence trusted her completely, said she was helping him process his guilt about missing Mildred's recovery. Then Clarence started getting agitated after their session, mumbling about experimental treatments Dr. Quibble suggested for Mildred's condition. She'd been asking detailed questions about Mildred's symptoms, her doctors, which hospital. She convinced Clarence to have Geraldine bring Mildred in for a preliminary evaluation, said it was completely legitimate. She had contacts at university research hospitals who specialized in pediatric brain trauma. The day Geraldine brought Mildred to the prison, I watched through the small window as Dr. Quibble led them into her office. Mildred looked so tiny in that institutional chair, swinging her legs while Geraldine held her hand. Clarence was practically vibrating with hope. First time I'd seen him smile in months. What none of us knew was that Dr. Quibble wasn't just documenting Mildred's condition. She was recording everything. Turns out she'd been collecting data on prisoners' family members for months, especially children with cognitive disabilities. She was selling this information to pharmaceutical companies running illegal trials on vulnerable populations. Clarence found out 3 weeks later when Geraldine got a call from Progressive Neuroelastic Solutions. They knew everything about Mildred's accident, her specific type of brain injury, even her favorite toys. They were offering a revolutionary new treatment with minimal side effects. When Geraldine described the call, I watched Clarence's face change. He started connecting the dots, all Dr. Quibble's questions, the extra sessions, the detailed family history she'd insisted on documenting. Clarence confronted Dr. Quibble during their next session. Through the thin walls, we could hear him shouting about his daughter, about trust, about exploitation. Dr. Quibble just laughed, said he was a convicted felon with 0 credibility, and Mildred was just another damaged kid whose family was too poor for real treatment anyway. Then she said the thing that broke him completely. At least this way, Mildred might contribute something useful to society before her brain deteriorates further. Clarence tried to file a complaint, but who was going to believe a twice-convicted felon over a licensed psychiatrist? Dr. Quibble kept her job. Clarence stopped eating after that, stopped talking, just sat in his cell staring at a photo of Mildred, this 8-year-old girl who couldn't remember her daddy's face. Guard found him 3 days later, bedsheet around his neck, note apologizing to Mildred for failing to protect her even from prison. I got out 8 months later and looked up Clarence's family. Geraldine had moved Mildred to a group home, couldn't handle caring for her alone anymore. Mildred was part of some clinical trial for a new cognitive enhancement drug. Side effects included seizures and aggressive behavior. The trial was funded by Progressive Neuroelastic Solutions. I still think about Clarence sometimes, and how Dr. Quibble probably has a whole new crop of desperate families to exploit.